Hello and welcome. My name is David Murray and I'm the Senior Trials Programmer at the National Perinatal Epidemiology Unit at the University of Oxford. The purpose of this podcast is to introduce you to OpenClinica, demonstrate how to navigate around OpenClinica and how to successfully complete data entry. So firstly, what is OpenClinica? OpenClinica is an open source clinical trials application for electronic data capture and clinical data management, which is accessed via a web browser. Currently, the supported web browsers are Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer. Before we log into OpenClinica, I will introduce some terminology used throughout the application. First, study. This refers to the trial. Event or study event. This defines a data collection point. This will become more apparent when we open the application. CRF. This stands for Case Report Form and is a form used to collect and contain data for a study event. Subject is a participant in the study. And finally, discrepancy notes are queries or annotations about a data item whose value is not as expected. So that was a brief introduction into OpenClinica. So now let's look at the application. Firstly, I'll log in. Once you have successfully logged in, you'll come to your home page. At the top, you'll see the name of the study and the centre. Also, we have the navigation bar. First, we have the home button. Wherever you are in OpenClinica, click this button to come back to the home page for the current study or site. Next, we have the subject matrix. The subject matrix is a table with event information for all subjects recruited at the site. This is where you can view, enter, and change information for subjects and their events in the study. There is one subject per row with a study ID in the first column. The other columns are for each definition in the study. So you can see here we have a study event for randomization, entry, post-embryo transfer, early pregnancy outcome, etc., etc. We also have an add subject button. You will not need to use this button because subjects are added automatically via the randomization website. And we have the notes and discrepancies button. This displays a table listing all discrepancy notes. It is used to track and manage any data issues, but we will cover notes and discrepancies in more detail in the data management podcast. As you can see, we are in a subject matrix for Centre 99, listing the two subjects recruited at the centre, subjects 10251 and 10269. You'll notice the different icons displayed in the study events. These represent the different statuses of data entry for an event. I will quickly run through the most common statuses and explain what they mean. Firstly, the green icon with the white tick indicates data entry has been completed. For the randomization event, the data is automatically transferred from the randomization website when a recruit is successfully randomized into the trial. Secondly, we have the dark blue icon. This indicates the event has been scheduled and is ready for data entry. We schedule some study events because we are expecting data to be collected for these events. So for E3s, we will expect data for the entry and post-embryo transfer events. The lighter blue icon indicates that a study event has not been scheduled. This is the default status for all events where we do not expect all subjects to have data collected. So in E3s, depending on the outcome of the post-embryo transfer, we may not expect data for the preceding events. Finally, the orange icon with the white tick indicates data entry has started but is yet to be marked as complete. You'll see on the left-hand side of the screen a legend showing all statuses, which you can use as a reference. I have briefly explained the different statuses of data entry, so now I will demonstrate how to start and complete data entry for a scheduled and non-scheduled study event. To start data entry for a scheduled event, click on the scheduled icon and click View Enter Data. This takes you to the study event screen for the selected subject, in this case the entry form for subject 10251. Finally, to start data entry, click on the Enter Data button in the Actions column. This will open the CRF. CRFs are divided into multiple sections. To view the number of sections, click on the drop-down list in the top right-hand corner of the CRF, and you can see here the entry form has been divided into 4 sections. So now let's enter some data for section 1, consent. For question 1, you can see there's a drop-down list which has 2 options, yes or no. I'll select yes. For question 3, female's date of birth, it's expecting a date. Now dates can be entered in 2 ways. They can be entered manually, so that has to be a numeric for the day, followed by the month, alpha, followed by the year, numeric. Or you can select the date using the calendar widget to the right of the text box. If I click on the widget, you can see I can now select the date required. In this instance, it's January 1st, 1998. I'll now answer the remaining questions. Once all the questions have been answered, press Save. If all the answers given meet validation, it will automatically take you to the next section. So in this instance, section 2 at randomization. I'll now answer these questions. I'll now press Save. Now, if any questions fail validation, a red exclamation mark will appear next to the question. So, for example, how many good quality embryos were on day 3? Initially I entered 4, but now that is telling me that that value does not match the value which was entered at randomization. Likewise, with what is the type of infertility, is also telling me that that value does not match the value at randomization. And finally, what is the allocation? I left it blank initially, but is telling me that I must enter a value for the allocation. I will now correct these. And press Save. And you can see it's now moved me on to the next section, which I will now complete. And again, once you've answered all the questions, press save. And as you can see, 2 questions have failed validation. One is because I answered question 8 yes, it is expecting me to tick at least one of these options. And secondly, how many eggs were collected? I've entered 42, but we're expecting a range between 3 and 40. Now, ideally, we'd like to resolve these validation checks at data entry, but if you can't, just press save. And what will happen is now discrepancy notes have been created, and this is displayed by a red flag appearing next to the question. Again, we'll come to the number of sections in the next podcast. The CRF, click on the drop down list. You can see if I go back to section 4, the early pregnancy outcome, there are 2 sections. On the last section of each CRF, we have a notes field where any additional information for the woman's date of birth. This is not compulsory. But once you've entered all the data, to your best knowledge, check the mark CRF complete tick box. Yes. A message will appear indicating that marking the CRF complete will finalise data entry. I'm leaving some of these questions blank so I can raise discrepancy notes. Then press save again. For the next podcast, you will now see the status has changed to data entry complete. So if I go back to subject matrix, you'll now see the entry form has been completed. I'll press save. Complete data entry create for a non-scheduled for those questions event. And to do that, I'm happy the data is now complete and click schedule. Check the box, then click OK. Proceed to enter press data. Save. And to start data entry, go to the subject matrix, click on the enter data. And now you can see in the early pregnancy outcome form study event has now been marked as complete. That now completes the data entry section for the E3's OpenClinica training.